Dan. How are you, mate? Mate, we're doing pretty well. Um, it's a big test tonight. We're obviously going to be doing the reviews for the next five players on the list. If anybody is actually on this live right now, could you please let us know what the sound is like? Because if you were here last time, you would have known that the sound was echoey and we had a bit of feedback. So we're hoping that that's been resolved. Let us know, please, in the comments so that we know what's going on and we can get this show on the road. Dan, are you listening to it? Okay. How is it coming up? Okay. Sounds fine. Okay, I think we're on, mate. I reckon we're on. Yeah. Good evening to you. Good evening to you. All right, guys, we've got a few on right now. CPR Films, g'day mate. Adrian Salerno, good evening to you. Please let us know if this sound is good. We're getting some feedback that it is all good. Great, great, great. Fantastic. Dan, we've got a show again, mate. Well, let's start there. I know this is a review show, but let's start there. Um, I don't know. I felt a little bit betrayed by Andy Marr. I felt a little bit betrayed. Um, oh, wait. Can't hear Danny Boy. Dan, you can surely hear him. You can surely hear Dan. Dan, give us a bit of a rundown about your week, and then while people are giving feedback, I'll fix the sound if that's possible. Let us know how was your week, mate. Wow.
Yeah, 38, 37 and a half.
Yeah. Can you guys hear Dan now? How does that sound? Dan, just double check that your mic's not muted, mate.
That's not.
Nah, working well.
Well, you can hear me, can't you?
Oh, I can hear you loud and clear. I'm not sure why people hashtag. This is a disaster, mate. Now we can. All right. Now we can hear him. Now we can hear him.
Oh, that's good.
All right, fantastic. I know what was going on. Dan, just tell us
You
again.
heard me, haven't you?
Dan, tell us a little bit about how your week was again. We'll do that all over again, mate. How'd you go?
Yeah, so I've been boxing Monday and Tuesday. Went for a run. Been doing me kicking practice, becoming a little bit of a dead-eye dick in front of goal. So I'm 2.5 kgs down. So we got another 7.5 to go. 37.5 to go.
Fantastic, mate. That's really good to hear. Really good to hear. Some people here are talking a little bit about my footy show antics last night, so I might as well run us through that while I can.
Best celebration I've ever seen.
Yeah, no, it was a good night. So basically, what happened was the day before I got a message to go on Billy's Big Wheel, and I had no idea what that meant. I didn't know what Billy's Big Wheel was. Be as it may, though, I said yes. Went down basically. So there were 18 footy clubs that participated. We all went in a pod on the Melbourne Star, and we had a quiz with 18 questions, all based on the footy show's history, and basically it was just a quiz. You had to use your memory. There were about teams of 10 to 12. And so what happened was we went around the Star once, and you had half an hour because it takes half an hour to go around once, and we had to answer the questions in half an hour. So we did that. Then you go around again. Everyone goes around twice while they tally the votes for who got the most answers correct. And, once we handed in our answers and went around the second time, that's when we went back and started using our phones and understanding a little bit about, what did we get wrong. And we realized that we had two or three answers that were definitely wrong. And then we sort of started thinking, nah, it's not going to be us. It's not going to be us. And then what happened was it was going past every pod, and the pod that it stopped on was the winner. And so as we started coming in, so there were phones inside, but they had cameras. So if you did use them, you got disqualified. So we didn't cheat. We got down, and then they opened the hatch, and they're like, open the door. And we're like, nah, they're tricking us. So we opened the door, and then, the rest is history. So $20,000 for my beloved Thomastown Football Club. It was, you saw the celebrations. It was unbelievable.
Oh, it was absolute scenes, wasn't it?
Yeah. So happy days, mate. Happy days. I think you were muted when we covered this, but let's talk a little bit about Tom Papley. I was saying before, I feel a little bit betrayed by Andy Marr because I heard the audio. He was reading out information. I feel like he's smart enough to know not to put that to air unless he's got it from a really reliable source. And the fact that SEN, good evening to you, Drew and Mohammed. The fact that there wasn't a link really got me worried. Not going to lie. But yeah, what's your take on the situation, mate?
Tom Papley's coming! Come on! Get around it!
So good. So good.
I am officially on the Papley train, just so everyone knows.
Yeah, very nice.
Coggy forgotten, Dylan Shield forgotten. I'm all about Thomas Papley.
Very nice. Adrian, there was a comment there about spending it on the girls. He actually meant the women's team. So Tomo's got a new change rooms that they've just been built, and they want to build a women's team. So it was funny because when you watched it back, everyone was talking and laughing about that, thinking that he meant like strippers or whatever. And it was funny.
I took it like that.
Did you?
I thought that he meant that you guys were going to go down to Spearmint Rhinos.
Yeah.
20 gree on the old strippers.
Oh, what have I done here?
What happened?
All right. I think I've done something with the screen here. Let's get some questions. I know it didn't come out like that at all. I know.
It's really weird this because I can't see people's comments, so people could just be slagging me off and I can't see.
Yeah.
Don't like it. Feel unnerved.
Entire screen. So this will good. I'm not sure why we've got this screen. 1 second. Show current application. 1 sec. All right. Why don't we start with the reviews, mate? The first one I want to
let's do it.
The first one I want to get up here is number 11, Mitch McGovern. So you guys know how this works. I'm going to fix the screen in a sec. You guys know how this works. Give us your rating for Mitch McGovern out of 10, what you thought he did for the season, and we will go from there. And then we'll start talking about other issues afterwards. So, Dan, give us the Mitch McGovern rundown because he definitely is your boy.
Yeah, so I mean, I've been a little bit harsh on this guy all year. It's been kind of a not as good as last year kind of moment for Mitch. And I think he'd be the first to admit that himself.
Yep.
So, I mean, if you look at his season, it's by no means the worst season you'll ever see, but probably he came with a lot of hype and anticipation.
Sorry, mate.
So, ended the season with 1.4 goals a game from 16 games. Obviously, he had that really good game against St Kilda at the back end of the year.
Yep.
So we did kind of see the value of Mitch McGovern at the end of the year, I think. I think it took him a while, but once he got fit, we saw the talent.
Yep. He came with a bit of expectation, didn't he? As we look through his season here, he came with a little bit of expectation. Obviously, there's reports that we're paying him, $700,000 a year and the like. I really did go the early crow with Mitch McGovern. I thought because he was playing that third string forward at Adelaide, I thought that meant, he would come to Carlton and he was ready to have a bigger role. And I actually thought he would become sort of like that number one forward. It wasn't to be the case. And then we sort of had to realign our expectations with him. One, because he was sort of out of shape and he had the back injury and Bolton was coaching, and then he just sort of lost confidence and lost form. He did have a little bit of a spike towards the end, but I think overall, I don't think we can be happy with what we saw from Mitch McGovern. What do you think?
I think if we only take into account his last 3 games when he came back,
yep,
I think he's shown enough for me to be excited about next year.
Yep,
I think if he can stay I think the real test for Mitch is, will he stay in shape in this off-season?
Yep.
He's not going to, when he's not at the club, is he not going to fall into old habits?
Mm-hmm.
But I think if he stays fit, I think that St Kilda game showed what he's capable of. He can be devastating when he needs to be.
Yep.
And I think Curnow and him, when they all fire, I do think that's going to be the toughest forward line in football.
Yep. Absolutely. What is the makeup of the forward line that you think is going to be the best when Mitch McGovern's also playing?
I'm not a big fan of the 3 talls, but I think it's going to be. I mean, I'd say probably Harry McKay and Big Mitch in the key positions, and Curnow in that floating half-forward wing role.
Yep.
Papley on the other half-forward flank, and then Cunners and Jesus in the pockets. I think that's just that looks a very good forward line to me.
Yep. I agree. I think for me, if I want to move on to his actual rating, I'm not. It doesn't fill me with confidence what Mitch McGovern's going to be doing for us next year. I don't know where it's going to go, if I'm being honest. It almost feels like, and you and I have spoken about this before, it almost feels like, I don't know why we went and got Mitch McGovern. I started asking myself, was there a real need to go and get Mitch McGovern? But now that we do have him, we need to figure out a way to use him because we're not getting rid of him. I think I want him playing more up the ground for sure. I think that's where he does play his best footy.
Oh, definitely, yeah. I mean, personally, I'd rather have Harry McKay at centre half forward and then Mitch in the goal square.
Mm-hmm.
I think utilise Harry's beautiful overhead ability.
Yep, absolutely.
I mean, rating-wise, it's hard to give him over a 4.
Yep.
I'm going to say 3.5.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to give him a 3 for his season. I mean, when you put the expectations or you put all of that in there, a lot comes out. A lot comes out of there, and I can't give him anything more than a 3 for me. It was a poor season. I'm sure that he would definitely acknowledge that, and we've got to think about that. But he's got to be more fit. Hopefully, he doesn't have a fractured back to start next year, and he can just come into the season fit and healthy and strong and sort of go from there. So I'm going to give him a 3. Some interesting ones here. Peter Vlahos has given him a 5. Tim Wilkes, good evening to you, mate. He's given him a 4. Andrew Bakes has given him a 6.5. So you can see we're all sort of around about that pass mark. I don't know how he gets more than a 6, to be honest. But we'll see what happens.
I mean, I would give him a 10 out of 10 though for his weight loss. He looks in incredible shape, and as a man who's oversized on the journey, I credit him that. It's very hard work. So if he stays fit, I reckon next year it could be a 9 or a 10.
Yep, I agree. Where are we going? All right, moving on. Liam Stocker, mate. Talk to me about Liam Stocker.
So he was the talking point at the start of the season, wasn't he? Was that trade a good idea?
Mm-hmm.
Were Carlton going to look stiff? We had Adelaide talking, saying that they fell over the fax machine to get the paperwork off. It was such a good deal.
Yep.
So he's kind of it was an important year for Liam, whether he played or not. But I think what he showed me is saw his development in the VFL as a halfback flanker where he plays on the ball in attack.
Yep.
And I think he showed enough for us to be really excited. He definitely is going to be that bigger body we keep talking about to help Cripps. He's going to be the replacement Kerner, but I suspect he's going to be a lot better than Kerner.
Mm-hmm.
We can see TPI expected him to be about negative 2.99. He was negative 0.354, which is pretty good.
Why is that? Why do you think there was an expectation for him to be a negative? What happened?
I'd say because of his heavily documented AFL engine.
Mm-hmm.
You saw in TAC he ran out of steam, and AFL is 10 grades up from that. The club was saying they were feeding him in. So I think it was always going to be a case of, we knew he was an inside midfielder, TPI detected. He was probably going to play more time on the outside or on the flank. So it's not going to expect him to influence games. I think it's solid, though. Not many draftees get a positive mark in their first year with projections.
Yep.
So I can only there's only like 5 this year as well.
Mm-hmm.
So there's not many. It's certain positions do. So for me, I think you look at them numbers though. 3.4 ground ball gets, 13.6 disposals. It shows that he's willing to do that tough stuff.
Yep.
And I think another year in the system, I expect 2021, this guy's a walk-up start for Carlton Football Club.
Yep. I think that's where he needs to be. The one thing I saw with Liam, obviously he played a few games and he got injured and had the hot spots, and he admitted that he was pushing himself a little too hard. He's got a real appetite for it, which is what we love, like a real serious appetite. And I just can't help but feel that this kid's just he's just made of the right stuff. Some of the efforts in game, just the way he presents himself, the way he speaks. I look at little things, just like his posture, things like that. And so, yeah, I think we didn't see enough of him this year for various reasons. But I think we've got one. I really do. I think he's going to prove us all right, and he's going to validate the trade strategy that we took when we did pick him up. He's just got to get a really good tank, a really good off season, and I mean it's hard to grade him because he didn't play too many games. He played 5. So I'm going to give him just a pass mark. Obviously, we didn't see enough of him to really know. So I'm going to give him a 5. What about you, mate?
Yeah, I think 5's fair. I think it's what we would expect of a first year.
Yep.
With the issues that he had. He's kind of had a stop-start year.
Yep.
But like I will reiterate, this guy, like you said, he's willing to get all the tough stuff. He's up for the fight, and I think that's a big thing because he's only going to get better. He's got them key fundamentals we want on someone to help Cripper, and I do think he's going to be a valuable asset for Carlton.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I agree. Some of the comments here, Mohammed is talking about looking at what the Richmond kid did in the VFL Grand Final. I think we might have taken the wrong kid. Interesting there. Peter Vlahos gave him a 4.5. Kicking is pretty efficient. Just more opportunity needed in either the VFL or the ones. Andrew Bakes, hey Drew. Stocker, he's going to give him a 7. The games he played looks promising. Very nice. Timothy Wilkes, good evening to you. Might be out of line, but a little underwhelmed this year, I should say. Enough seen, though, to make me think there will be considerable growth. Yeah, it's a fair point. Andrew MacArthur, Collier Dawkins, the Richmond kid, had quite a few questions going into the draft, mainly with work ethic and ability to get the ball. Was noted to be a really good ball user, but never got the ball. So yeah, look, it's good. It's a good call. I personally, I'm happy with Stocks. I like what I see from him. I love the international upbringing. I really do. I think that gives him a point of difference and a real. I think when you live away from Australia, you appreciate things differently here. You kind of are a little bit more grateful for what you do have here. So I think he's a kid with perspective, and I'm looking forward to it. But we obviously do want to see more from him.
Oh, I think he would have got a lot of Springer games had he not got injured.
Yeah.
Because he was injured. He got injured at that time where we were struggling to make a team down back.
Mm-hmm.
So just unlucky.
Yep. Absolutely. Okay. Let's move on to our man Jonesy. Where is he here? Liam Jones. He played 13 games in 2019. As we get up his stats here and we look through his season. Dan, talk to me about Liam Jones.
This guy is just... It's hard to believe 3 years ago, I think every Carlton fan, if they're honest, were like, this guy's up for the chop. And then he came down back, and he's just getting better and better. And I think the beautiful thing about him is when you look at his numbers, there's certain things that just really stand out, like the fact that he attacks the ball so hard. His intercept possessions are in that very good range. His score launches, they're not shown there, but they're starting to increase as well. He's becoming that really top loose defender. And I think an interesting thing for me is his TPI has gone up a whole mark. Now, it's quite hard to go up when you're 28. And he's really starting to become one of the top 10 key defenders in the comp who play that second, third loose role. Mm-hmm. And I think it's a real credit to Jacob Wheaterin. Jacob Wheaterin is giving him now that reliability that he'll stay on his man and do the hard stuff so Liam can do what he does best. And for me, Liam Jones is just that kind of guy that when he's down the back, you're just excited because you know he's going to do something. Some of the marks he took last year were absolutely brilliant. It's just a shame we didn't get to see him more. But very, very good footballer.
Yeah, I thought the start of his season. By the way, obviously, if you're watching, give us your rating out of 10 for Liam Jones' season. I was the same. The comment you made about it was sort of, was he going to stay? Was he going to go? I thought it was a little bit of a make or break year for Jonesy personally. I didn't know after last year, was he going to be able to go up another level? I wasn't sure. I sort of said to myself, well, if he doesn't perform really well, he's going to find himself on the outer. And it's like, what do we do with a 28, 29-year-old, bit defender? But he just launched himself into the season. And I thought before he got injured against North Melbourne, I thought he was in that, I know it's only 6 games, and we were losing, but I thought he was one of our better players. It's going to be interesting to see the best and fairest votes next week, particularly in those first 6 rounds, how he was rated internally, because I thought he was one of our better defenders and really like an all-Australian squad type defender. And then obviously he had the big layoff and then he came back and he was still pretty good, don't get me wrong, but I think by then it was too late for, an all-Australian squad type year.
Oh, definitely. I mean, he's definitely one of them players that, like, you look at Rampy this year, you'd never have him in the all-Australian conversation, but he's suddenly just emerged.
Yep.
So there's that kind of dangling carrot for Liam Jones that it is possible.
Yep.
And I think he's got the facets, I really do. And I think Wheaterin and him is a premiership combination. You've got the lockdown defender and you've got that guy who attacks the ball. And I think between them, really exciting times at Carlton.
Yep, absolutely. What are you going to give him for the year, mate? What are you going to rate him?
8.
I'm going to give him... Yeah, I'm going to give him an 8. I'm going to give him an 8 as well. Very nice.
It's the first one we've ever agreed on.
It is the first one we've agreed on, and that's why I hesitated. But yeah, I think it was good enough to be right up towards one of the better players, but obviously with a little bit of room for growth because he did miss games. So yeah, Peter Blahos thinks he was a 9. If he wasn't injured, he would have been All-Australian. He has his moments under pressure. Intercept defender galore. Muhammad Ali, 8.5. Drew Bakes, he's given him an 8.5 because he knows where the forwards are going, reads a ball well, good since he was a forward himself. Tim Wilkes, Melbourne game aside, arguably cost us that day. Jones was fantastic. The amount of times I got up from my seat to applaud a towering mark was often. 8 for me. Yeah, good call. I can't disagree with that. I think we're all in the same boat. So there it is there. By the way, if you aren't subscribed to the channel, you can do that by just clicking subscribe up the top here. That way, when videos do come out on YouTube, you get notifications. So that'd be appreciated. 2 more. I've left that one there. 1 sec.
I can't wait for this one.
Yeah, your man. Darcy Lang's the next one, number 16. Talk to me about Darcy Lang while I get him up, mate.
Solid footballer is old Darcy.
Is he?
So Darcy Lang is kind of like the new Levi Casbolt, isn't he? He just really divides us as a Carlton team. So you look at his season, there's nothing that really gets you excited. So his TPI is 0.52, so he's slightly better than last year.
Yep.
which was 0.46. But it's not where I'd expect to see a 23-year-old midfield/forward type player.
Yep.
I mean, there's some things, though, that do strike out. Like his entries inside 50, 44% of them become a goal, which is really high. He's a good user of the ball.
Say that again.
Well, the problem is,
of his
44% of his inside 50 entries result in a shot at goal.
Okay.
So every time he gets it inside 50 to one of our forwards, it is a shot at goal, which is really high. It's version on ridiculously elite.
Yep.
But the problem is he just doesn't seem to find it. And I kind of personally feel 23, 24 next year is a little bit too old for us to have this conversation of he shows potential. And I think next year, if we do keep him on, if you listen to Russell, it sounds like he's staying.
Yep.
For me, he's got to show something next year. We need to see 12 touches and definitely 0.8, 0.9 goals.
Yep.
If he's going to play that high half-forward role. But to me, I think Jack Martin is his direct replacement.
Yep. I agree. I think, first of all, I really did like the recruiting of Darcy Lang when we did get him. I really did enjoy it. I thought it was a good idea because when I watched him play at Geelong, I thought he was solid. It's just one of those situations where it just hasn't shown enough for me yet. I understand injuries play a part. Players talk about it all the time. How they need to they need a full preseason. It makes a difference. They make it very clear about it, and so for that, I do want to cut him some slack. But the reality is, we've got to get more out of him than what we're getting. Like you look at these games here, these 6 possession, 8 possession, 4 possession. These games aren't going to cut it for Darcy Lang. They're just not. And I understand he's a forward when he plays. He plays as a pressure forward, but we can't have these type of numbers from players in our team anymore because you're just carrying too many passages. I mean, you probably want to leave the young kids and the draftees for that. And so when you have a guy that's supposed to be experienced, it's just disappointing. So from that point of view, I want a lot more from him. I'm giving him a 3 for his year. If I'm giving Mitch McGovern a 3, I'm not giving Darcy Lang anymore. So that's where I see it.
So harsh. I was a big fan of Darcy. We know I've been a big fan all year. I saw a lot of him at Geelong. I mean, I think the hard thing for me with him is he averaged 12 touches in 4 years at Geelong as a pressure forward, and he also averaged just under 6 tackles, and he's never had 6 tackles for Carlton.
Yep.
So, I mean, I'm a 3 out of 10 too.
Mm-hmm.
It's a tough one because we know he's got it in the locker.
Yep. That's just the reality of the situation. That's just where we are and what we need from him, So, yeah. What about you guys? What do you think about Darcy Lang? Peter Vlahos was disappointed. 3 should have been delisted, he thinks. Patches of smart footy. Great VFL player. Another chance to hopefully live up to it. Andrew MacArthur, he's not a negative player, but he's not necessarily a contributor on game day. That's a good point. Muhammad Ali, I love your name is Muhammad Ali. I really enjoy that. He's giving him a 5. Bit of a meh for me. Has some great moments in other games where he's completely missing. Yeah, Drew Bakes is talking about the injury. He's been injured, but tried to play him through. But that gave him a 5.5. But next year will be heaps better getting a full preseason. That's the hope. That really is the hope. Tim Wilkes, I'll give him 1 mark for being a good kick at goal and 1 for that intercept. Tap the ball away against Sydney. Total of 2. Very nice, Tim. I like it, mate. You're the hard man to please. I like that. I like someone with a bit of standards. So fair call. Tate White, Port just met with Sam Gray today. Very nice, mate. Good to hear that. St Kilda, you mean. All right. Last but not least, Sam Walsh. It almost feels it's already sort of boring to talk about Sam Walsh, isn't it? He's kind of he's kind of like Cripps in the sense that, all right, well, we know what we're going to be talking about today with him. Just bear with me here. Just take a look here. This is his season. He played 22 games this year. All right. Have a look at this column here. These disposals numbers. Just have a look at his season at a glance. Like it's, we've been saying it a lot. I know, but it just never seems to amaze me. What he was able to do. We're lucky. Well, are we lucky? We are lucky that we got the season out of him. And this will be an easy 10, I think. What do you think, Dan? How did it go? How did the season go from Walsh from the start to the end?
Well, I think this sums it up. There's 42 stats that are correlated for Rising Stars by Champ Data, and just 42, just for the Rising Stars.
Yep.
And he ranks top 3 in every one. Top 2 in 32, and number 1 for 28. So, and the only one he doesn't rank top 10 for, is time on ground. So that is scary that he doesn't have the most time on ground out of them all, but he's ahead of them all in. And that is phenomenal. I mean, you look at his highlights: 31 disposals against West Coast with a goal and 7 marks. That's not a Rising Star number. That's elite level football numbers.
Yep.
And I mean, I could talk about Sam Walsh all day and I'd never get bored. The guy is a superstar. And what's scary is your first year, as a rule of thumb, by year 5, you increase by 19%. Is a rough rule.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine him 20% better than he is now.
Yep.
Like this guy, we talk about Cripps. I've got a feeling Cripps will never win a Brownlow. And I think Sam Walsh will be the reason.
Right.
You saw it this year with Dangerfield and Kelly. They stole votes off each other.
Mm-hmm.
And Sam Walsh was 1 vote off all-time draftee in his first year of a Brownlow. That was Reece Palmer, who had 7. Yep. So he had 6. Phenomenal achievement. Phenomenal achievement for a team that's rubbish, really, for most of the year.
Yep.
And Sam Walsh stands out. So I could really see Sam Walsh costing Cripper. I think if Cripper doesn't win a Brownlow next year, I reckon this guy here is going to cost him.
It's going to be the reason why. Yeah, no, it's a good point.
And this kid is just a superstar. Like 320 metres gained with the ball by foot, 16.5 effective possessions. I mean, that's a big thing. That gets better as you get older.
Yeah.
I mean, this kid is he's top 2 already at Carlton.
Is there a conversation that we've probably got to be mindful of with like his second year, and because he didn't have, sort of, there was expectation because he was a number 1 pick, and because we're going to naturally expect him to get better. What if he just comes out next season and averages 24 touches, or 23 touches? Are we gonna say, oh gee, he's struggling? Like, it's one of those situations where I'm just gonna, as much as I want to get hyped about him, I also want to give him the room to grow, because nothing just keeps rising linearly. I could be wrong. He could come out next year and win a bloody Brownlow. Who knows? But just want to be mindful of that second year.
You're right. Nothing is linear with football. But, I mean, I was watching 96 West Coast and I was watching Ben Cousins. And my father-in-law says the way a young player came into the game and got you excited, the last person he remembers was Ben Cousins doing that. Mm-hmm. A young kid who was 17 years old and he's tearing it up. And you look at Ben Cousins, he never dipped from his first year. His first year, he moved back, and the only thing that increased was his disposals, but everything stayed kind of steadily got better. And I think there's a lot of Ben Cousins about Sam Walsh. I think he's got a great football brain, great engine already. He's one of the top runners in the competition for distant kilometres covered. I actually think he's never going to have a bad year. I don't want to kibosh it, but I really think next year, I wouldn't be surprised to see us have this conversation. Sam Walsh having 28.5 touches, And I reckon we're starting to see he's not scared to take a shot at goal.
Yep.
So I reckon that'll go up to 0.7. And I reckon he's the goal-kicking midfielder we wanted from Dylan Shield.
Yep.
We got him.
Yep.
And I reckon his TPI will reach double figures next year. Early call. I reckon he'll be a 10 player next year.
There you go. Is it safe to say that you're giving him a 10?
Oh, I feel harsh giving him a 10.
Yeah.
Like, I want to do it out of 100.
Yeah. Peter Vlahos agrees. Andrew Bakes agrees. Scott Gawley agrees. Andrew MacArthur says that before he was drafted, I thought we should have gone after Bailey Smith. Watching his under-18s and TAC, I couldn't understand his number one position. Just seemed like a good, not great player. Boy, was I wrong. Well done to you for owning that, Andrew. That's not always an easy thing to do. But he's definitely proven himself there. Drew Bakes says the Brownlow means nothing to us since it's the umpire's MVP. MVP is the one you want to win. Good call. He's young, says Tate White. There's going to be a year where he can't be the best. Andrew MacArthur again. If Sam Walsh doesn't improve this year, besides just being a disposal efficiency, he will be better than anyone from the 2019 or 2018 draft. I hope Sam Walsh isn't like their cousins at all. Good call. I think just the on-field would be enough for us.
I meant his on-field exploits, not his extracurricular activities.
Yeah, I think so. I think that would be preferred. So that is that. Let's open up the floor a little bit. I have no idea what I've done here with this screen, but that's okay.
Don't talk to me about screens.
Not sure what I've done with this screen, but we can play around with it, I think. Any questions from you guys before we head off? Let us know.
I think the guy that I'm really looking forward to seeing next year is Matt Rowell as well.
Yep. Why is that?
Really interesting person to look out for in the draft next year. He's anticipated to go pick 1.
Yep.
This kid is solid as well, like really, really solid.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd expect Gold Coast to have quite a formidable team next year.
Mm-hmm. Well, they're going to get both of them, aren't they? Aren't they getting the pick 1 and 2?
There's rumours they're going to get both, but like his numbers, Matt Rowell's numbers for Oakley Chargers, scarily similar, if not, I dare say, better than our boy Sam Walsh.
Yep.
And this kid could be an absolute jet.
Yeah.
So let's hope Gold Coast have their habit of not keeping players for very long.
Yep.
Because the thought of having him and Walsh together, brilliant.
Yep. No, it's a good call.
Great player.
Adrian Salerno, where's your Papley info from? Well, no one's got Papley info. I shared the photo yesterday. Andy Marr was on SEN, and he went live with it. Adrian, I'm not sure if you were listening earlier on the show, but I was talking about how he went live. He was on the show. I think he might have got a text or something, and I was saying he would know better than to go live with that information, knowing that who's interested, who's at stake, what's at stake, and knowing that we would, we would definitely bite at that. So I think that's really all we have. Nothing's really in concrete yet, but all reports are suggesting that he wants to at least get to Carlton. Now, whether it happens or not is another issue.
And if you're new to the show, I get a slight whiff of a player come in and go out and buy a tattoo.
Oh gosh.
But Papley's coming.
Papley's coming. Get excited. Why not?
Can't wait. Just imagine that. What Cripps gets it out of the centre. Handball to Walsh. Walsh to Papley.
Oh mate, it's gonna be
on
good.
level 2 centre wing.
It's gonna be good.
Screaming my tits off.
Yeah. No, it was good. It was even better watching Papley's dad just give old
Sticking
mate
to Tom Brown.
Yeah, give Tom Brown a bit of a clip. I thought that was fantastic.
It's gonna be interesting because I've got to say Andy has a habit of not talking about Carlton rumours.
Mm-hmm.
I remember last year he was a lock of Dylan Shield. He gave the lock. And then I remember that morning he did the radio interview and said that he'd been informed by the same source. He'd changed his mind last minute.
Okay.
And he feared he was going to go to Essendon, and Sauce was working actively to stop it happening. So he does have a habit of when he sticks his neck on the line, he owns it. So be interesting to see, because I think we are a more attractive offer than North. I really do. But then again, I was wrong about Coggy, so don't fucking listen to me about trade rumours.
Nah, not one bit. Not one bit.
I've got the same success rate as our mate Emilio. Shout out to you.
Shout out to you, Emilio. Any other questions here before we wrap it up? Adrian Sewell.
Is anyone going to the John Nichols medal? You'll see me and the beautiful Terry at the John Nichols medal.
Yes.
Come and say hello.
Yeah, let us know. Are you actually going to the John Nichols medal? It's going to be a good night. It's going to be a very good night, actually. Did you see that Collingwood have allegedly told their members that they can't hang out with the players and they're to leave them alone?
I've got to say, yeah, my mate's actually a massive Pies fan. He was saying in the letter they've got to turn up an hour earlier for a meet and greet with the players and photos and signatures, but as soon as they're in the venue, they're not allowed to approach them. Fuck that, because I'm going to be hanging off Chozza at the John Nichols medal like a lost dog.
We're going to have to hold you back, mate.
Oh, I'm just going to be following him around.
Too good. Adam saw me on the Footy show. Yes, mate, that was me carrying on like a bloody pork chop. Adrian Salerno says that we should go live at the John Nichols medal. We would love to, but I don't think we're allowed to. But stay tuned. We're
Terry's scared. I'm quite happy to go live. Fuck him.
No, we're want to do the right thing by the club.
I've just spent over $1,000 on the football club today, so they owe me.
Yeah, no, well done, mate. You did renew. That's a very, very good thing you've done there.
Come and see me. Centre wing tickets. Marvel and the MCG. Come and say hello.
Andy MacArthur. Cornelio didn't come to Carlton because he didn't want to be called a fucking fraud by our Lord and Saviour.
Could be true, that.
Could be true. Could be true. I might have scared him away.
No, I just think he didn't want to come because he's a complete weak, spineless idiot.
Yep.
Like, ruined me, Coggy. I bigged you up. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, mate.
This is how you treat. This is how you treat your friends. I'm glad you're in GWS.
Andy MacArthur with a classic Australian line, mate. Well done. Tall Poppy syndrome. I love it. Scotty Gawley. Dan, I heard Paps hasn't nominated, but has indicated that he would seriously consider an offer from the Blues.
Oh, of course he would, because he's not a moron. You don't shave your hair off if you're a moron. You shave your hair off because you're tough. And Papley's tough, and he's going to come to the best club in Melbourne.
Love it. Tate White, where the tickets are grand? No, mate, the membership. So wait, where are you sitting? What's the situation with the membership?
Yeah, so I'm centre wing. I think it's row M something. I can't be bothered to get my emails out, but yeah. So I'm centre wing for the G, and I'm centre wing for the Marvo as well. Yeah, so $10.25 it costs for home and away games. Get around it, boys. President's Lounge. So we can definitely have a couple of champagnes when Carlton win a flag again.
Love it.
It's going to be this year with Papley. That's why I upgraded.
Yeah.
Because I'm so sure it's this year.
Has to be finals action, otherwise we're in trouble, mate.
Otherwise, I've dropped the extra $300 for banter.
Yeah. Dan, Coggy got karma. He ruled himself out of the AFL Grand Final. So I'm sure you're happy with that.
I'm actually quite sad, but I admire that he did it and not the clubs, because I think GWS, them players deserve to play that final. They've got them there. And it was getting to a situation where 4 players could be dropped who have done the hard work. So I do admire that. I admire that from Coggy.
Yep.
I'm slowly getting over it.
Yep. Adam wants to know a little bit about Dan Butler. Let you start, mate. Is he going to be a good get for us?
Yeah, so he's literally the traditional pressure forward. So he's high intensity, high energy. Really, if you think of all their players, at Richmond. Their small forwards play exactly like for like in that avenue, that they're very intense, keep the ball inside the 50. You see just his AFL numbers, just under 4 tackles a game, just under a goal a game. So, I mean, he's definitely that player that fits the bill. Speaking to Richmond fans, they say that they think it's very harsh he's not in the 22. They really rate him. Covers a lot of ground. He's kind of like Jesus with pace is the way I describe him.
Nice.
Tenacious. And I think he's going to be a fantastic, phenomenal get because he is a small forward. And at the moment, our small forwards and midfielders who play small forward, we actually need, if we're going to get better, small forwards.
Yep.
And he is it.
Yeah, I must say, I've got to admit, I just don't know much about him. I haven't watched him closely enough to really have an opinion. I just don't know. So you are definitely a lot more knowledgeable than what I am in this situation.
For me, definitely a good get. Like, he's not going to cost much, and it's actually a small forward for a change.
Yep.
Like, actually a small forward, not a midfielder who we think might play forward, an actual guy who plays small forward. So we should get excited by that just on that alone.
Yep. All right. Well, there it is. Dan, mate, that was great. Thank you for those of you who have crossed over to YouTube for tonight. We like changing it up. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers here. A little milestone before the year's out. We'll see what we can do. I think we might have left it a little late, but you never know. Let us know what you thought. Did you prefer this format, or do you prefer the format on Facebook? We're always open to testing things. We'll see you. Well, actually, before we go, mate, grand final tip.
Richmond by 19.
Mate, GWS by 2. And Toby Green
Ooh.
have 5 eyeballs on his hands at the end of the day. At the end of the game.
Good shout.
Yeah. So that's that. See you next week. Enjoy your night and go the mighty Giants.
Go Giants.